Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Agnes Low, professional corporate trainer and Gallup strength coach. Today, I have invited a very special dear friend of mine. She's from California, not too far from me. I am very impressed by her journey. And also, I knew her since I was very young because we were studying at the same high school in Hong Kong. She left Hong Kong earlier. She is a little bit junior than me. She's my very good friend of my younger sister. She is a ballet dancer, and her professional is a software engineer in California. Also, she is a Japanese tea ceremony practitioner. She is a teacher of tea ceremony since 2020. Now, today's topic is joy of Japanese tea ceremony. We can't wait to learn more about the background, about Japanese tea ceremony. What is the benefit for well-being? Help me to welcome our guest, Julia Tung. Julia, take it away, please.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Agnes. Well, thank you for inviting me to your transformation series. This is such a great honor. So just want to say thank you first. Thanks for the nice introduction. I have known you for a very, very long time. And a few years ago, when you came to California to visit me, actually, I did a tea ceremony with you. Remember that? It was very nice. I mean, I remember I dressed you up in kimono, and
yes.
I actually had a tea ceremony that I actually be the host and you were my guest. So it was a very nice memory for me as well. So like you said, I have started practicing tea ceremony since 15 years plus ago, and it has been a wonderful journey for me. Not only does it actually change how I see my surroundings, but also in my daily life, what I practice now every day at home, it actually made a big impact. So I will talk to you a little bit more about that during our interview today.
Wow, that's wonderful. I know that there is a very special name of your school. Can you repeat it? I think it's a Japanese pronunciation. You will say it better than me. What is the name of your school?
Okay, so for tea ceremony, there are like a few major schools in Japan, and one of the three main schools that passed down from the Zen family is called Omotesenke. So our school is Omotesenke, and we practice the style of Omotesenke. And if people ask what's the difference between different tea schools, well, there's some slightly difference, like the way we handle utensils, the way we actually examine utensils in the tea room, or the way we walk. There's a little bit difference between schools.
Wow, even how you walk. Oh, there are etiquette that you probably need to be aware. That's very interesting. And by the way, I never know that there is a certification to certify you, to get you qualified to be a tea ceremony teacher. So tell me more about, is there any principle, is there any special background that is so important that you need to learn or need to be aware, and that helps you become a very long-term member and also so passionate in tea ceremony?
Sure. Yes. So when people think about tea ceremony, they just think about, okay, someone making tea and you have someone, in the tea room. But actually, tea is very deep. And for tea, it's like different seasons, you use like different utensils. And tea ceremony actually, to me, and I think to a lot of Japanese people, is not just like you make a bowl of tea. It is actually the Japanese culture itself, the traditional culture of Japan. And for tea ceremony practitioner, we don't just know how to make a bowl of tea during tea ceremony. We have to learn about a lot of different things. For example, when I first started practicing, I actually have to learn how to be a guest for the tea ceremony first. The way we walk is very different in the tea room than the way we walk on a daily basis.
I'm sure I did not. I did not act as a very good guest a few years ago when I visited you. Okay, let you continue. I was quite surprised. Even guests need to have certain kind of etiquette.
Yeah, we do actually. But well, when you came over, it was kind of like casual way, so it was fun. It was okay. But when we actually go to a formal tea ceremony, I mean, you have to walk properly. So yeah, so I have to learn all those at the beginning, and then once I started studying tea, I have to actually learn to distinguish between different pottery types, because different season we use different potteries, different kind of potteries. Like tea bowls look a little bit different. The utensils that we served our sweets in are a little bit different between different seasons. We have to learn about calligraphy, because in a tea room, you'll always find a scroll with either some images or some like kanji, kind of like Chinese character written on it, like a scroll hanging in the alcove of the tea room. So we have to know a little bit, understand what the Chinese, meaning is conveying, on the scroll. And then we have to learn how to make some Japanese food, because for a very formal tea ceremony actually lasts about 4 to 5 hours. Yes. And that usually, have a meal served to the guests, kind of like a kaiseki meal. If you're familiar with kaiseki, Japanese kaiseki is like multiple courses. So that kind of meal will be served during a formal tea ceremony. So we have to learn how to make food, what utensils to serve with. And then also, of course, matcha, right? Because matcha is the main ingredient in the tea ceremony. We don't use tea leaf, but we use matcha, the grinded tea leaves. So that's a very important thing to have. I mean, without matcha, there's no tea ceremony, because you have to make tea with it. So we have to know what kind of matcha to get, for different kinds of tea that we serve. When I say different kind of tea, is usually tea ceremony, we usually serve just what we call thin tea. So that's normally when you like watch video, or if you see movies, people have a bowl of green tea and people drink it. That's kind of like what we call green matcha thin tea. But for thick tea, actually the consistency of the matcha is very different. It's very thick. When I first started practicing tea, I thought I was like drinking a bowl of paint, the paint that you paint your wall with. I mean, the consistency is really that thick. So the type of tea, the type of matcha we use for that is a little bit different, more higher quality. But when you make like a bowl of thick tea, when you're making the bowl, when you whisk the bowl of tea, actually the aroma, you can smell the aroma is so nice. The fragrance is wonderful.
Wow, you know what? You have drawn a picture for me. I can smell the aroma. I can see the utensil. I can see you're wearing the kimono. That is very interesting. Hey, Julia, how did you get started, and what attracts you to practice the tea ceremony?
Yeah, so so when I was young, I think maybe when I was 9 years old, I began to be very interested in Japanese culture. And I remember my mom brought me to, I think, Daimaru at that time in Causeway Bay in Hong Kong. They have a bookstore, a small section over there. And I picked the book for origami, but it was not just like making a crane, that kind of origami. It was an origami book for Japanese dolls, like Japanese ningyu. And to make those dolls, you have to, put layers and layers of kimono on the dolls. And from at that time, I felt very interested, in kimono and just the Japanese culture itself. And I really get fascinated by the traditional side of the culture. And I had a chance to visit Japan with my family when I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I see, more of Japan and the culture itself, the food and the traditional temple and the traditional Japanese inn. And I was really interested. But I came to America and then I didn't really think much about it. And then later on, when I was an adult, I actually went to Japan to visit as a tourist. And when I was there, actually, I attended a tea ceremony for tourists. And it was just so interesting. I mean, I never thought I would study tea ceremony because, I mean, when I was a guest, I had to kneel on the tatami mat, right? I mean, it was like, oh my God, my legs were falling asleep. And it was really hard to kneel in the tea room. So I never thought I'll become a tea practitioner per se. And then a few years later, actually, I was at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco, and they had a tea ceremony demonstration that day. It was very fascinating. I was watching, in the audience. And then afterwards, I got a chance to talk to this sweet lady wearing a kimono. And she told me she actually teaches tea ceremony in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was like, oh, wow, really? I mean, they are teachers, in California. I was very surprised. And she invited me to her house. And that was in September. I was like, I'm not sure. And then a few months later in November, I went to Japan again, and went to another tea ceremony over there. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try tea ceremony back home. So I called up the teacher and went to her house. And oh my God, I mean, as soon as I stepped inside the tea room, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to start learning tea. So that's how I started 15 plus years ago. And I think I forgot to answer your earlier question about like licenses and certification. So for tea schools, once you learn the very basic things, the teacher will actually apply licenses for you. So you're allowed to learn more advanced things. So whenever you get a license, you're allowed to learn what the license allowed you to study. Tea is a lifelong learning journey for all tea practitioner. I mean, I've been studying for 15 years, and there's still like, I think 3 or 4 more licenses that I need to get. And I got about 5 licenses so far, and I was lucky enough to get my instructor license back in 2020. And with that license, I'm able to teach and have students now. And then, I mean, now that I have students 10 years after that, then I will be able to get my professor license, which I'm aiming for right now. But before that, I still have to, keep learning and then get a few more advanced licenses before I can, become a professor.
Wow. It's so fascinating. I mean, I know your job also require you a lot of time, and you still put a lot of effort and your energy to enjoy what you love to do. Audience, make sure we learn something from my dear friend. It is very important when we find our passion. Don't let it go. Really grab it. That's wonderful. That's great, Julia. Now, when I come to this topic, I also did a little bit research. I found there is a phrase. Let you explain what is it about. The term is called, or the phrase is called, one chance, one encounter. 一期一會. What is it related to Japanese tea ceremony? Julia, can you explain to us?
Well, I'm impressed that you know the phrase. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this phrase in Japanese, ichi-go, ichi-e, and it is often associated with tea ceremony. And the phrase meaning is, like you said, one chance, one encounter. So what does that mean? That means like everything just happened once. So in a way, it tells people, just cherish every moment, because every single moment will not repeat. That's it, just cherish every single moment. So I think for tea ceremony, why is it so important? Because like for tea ceremony, when you're invited to a tea ceremony, the host actually put a lot of efforts and thoughts into that day, like the scroll, the utensils used, the sweets that's being served for that day. Everything the host would come up with a theme, for that particular guest or guests that she invited that day, he or she actually. And what she put inside the tea room, the guests will go in and look, right, and experience and touch and feel the utensils and try, the sweets that the host prepared. Yeah, you might think, okay, well, I can use the same utensils the next tea ceremony. I can have the same sweets to serve my guests. But the sound that you hear, from the water, from the boiling water, the sound that the host or the guests walk inside tea room, that changed. I mean, that's something that's not constant, right? I mean, you walk every day, but at that moment in the tea room, when you're listening, it could be different. The next time you're in the same tea room, the sound could be different. So that's still, is a moment that cannot be repeated. So ichi-go, ichi-e means, cherish the moment because it will never repeat. So in life too, right? I mean, I'm talking to you right now. This is a moment I'm cherishing. Tomorrow, even if we're going to have the same Zoom meeting, things will be different, So yeah, so I think that's a very, very nice phrase for everyone to remember by. It's like, okay, cherish every moment, cherish not just the things that you have in front of you, but the people, the friendship, everything that's surrounding you.
Wow, this is so important. It really relates so well as what I'm also doing. Besides training, corporate training, I also do a lot of coaching. We also talk about always be very present, because if you are not present, you cannot have the connection, build the trust, and also listen to my client. Wow, this is really wonderful. And it's a great reminder as like a live tips for my audience. Every single moment, cherish it, and it will change. It will never be the same. This is very true. I totally buy into your tea ceremony, this background at the association with the one chance, one encounter. I will not try to speak in the Japanese. Ichigo, how do you say it?
Ichigo, ichi-e.
Ichigo, ichi-e. I hope I can pronounce it correctly. Thank you so much for this part of the sharing. Now, I'm very interested to know about the impact after you are practicing Japanese tea ceremony. What's the impact to your life? That is a very important thing. I'm sure my audience love to know. How does it associate to your real life?
Sure. Well, for one, I try to drink matcha every day. And it does have a lot of good benefits, right? Even though it does have caffeine, I cannot drink it too late in the day. But that's one thing that's changed in my life, that when I first started tea ceremony, I didn't drink matcha at all. And after I started practicing, I started to drink matcha more and more. And now it became more like a daily habit. But how actually tea ceremony helped a lot and changed my life is tea ceremony is very interesting. I mean, we don't use a lot of utensils during tea ceremony, and we don't have a lot of conversation between the host and the guests. So it's quite quiet, actually, when you go to the tea ceremony. There are occasional conversations, between the host and the guests, but not too much, not like us chit-chatting, right? And the utensil used is very simple, not too elaborate. I mean, we could have a fancy tea bowl, like I prepared to show you a tea bowl today that's very seasonal. And because now we are like in May, approaching June, and it's the time where hydrangea is blooming. So like this with the hydrangea pattern, that I'm using at home right now. So for tea ceremonies, like I'm becoming more aware of the seasonal changes. Like I remember one time I was wearing the wrong kind of kimono for the season, and one of the tea teacher was like commenting. So I always remember, okay, Julie, don't wear a summer kimono when it's not summer, that kind of thing, right? So utensils, the same thing. You cannot use like the wrong kind of utensils. So in daily life, I'm becoming more aware. Like I love to grow flowers and stuff. So when flowers bloom, I'm like, oh, well, spring is here, right? Oh, summer is here, and now hydrangea is blooming, June is approaching. So I'm becoming more aware of my surrounding, and life is hectic for everyone. Work is busy and everyone have a very busy schedule. But when I walk into a tea room, when I start, practicing my tea ceremony, it's like it grounds me. It's like I can really focus, just leave everything behind me, leave all my busy schedule behind me, just focus. Because for tea ceremony, when you actually is the host, the one who makes tea, there are a lot of things that you have to remember. So you introduced me as a ballet dancer. So I have been actually dancing ballet since I was young. And like in ballet, every step, every movement, there's a term. And tea ceremony is the same. There's a term for different movements. And for dance, you have choreography. And for tea ceremony, the same thing. So like I would say, okay, tea ceremony have a series of movement, just like the choreography in dance. So same thing. So when you're in the tea room, you have to focus, because if your choreography requires you to use your right hand to pick up something, please don't use your left hand, right? So that kind of thing. So I have to focus. And when you focus, actually it's kind of meditating, right? And you just don't think about work. Okay, I have a bug to fix in my software and I don't think about that. I'm just focusing, make sure I'm doing the right thing and making the best bowl of matcha for my guests who will be drinking my matcha. So that's some of the things that I've been, incorporating into my life, and tea has actually helped a lot in helping me focus in a lot of different ways.
Great. What I heard from you is a lot of self-awareness, gain focus, and also you become very calm and very present. And the most important thing is, I think no matter where we are living in the world, a lot of stress, and you can put it aside first and really focus and enjoy something that you are practicing. What a wonderful interest. I guess I should also learn a little bit to practice, to have a cup of tea before I start my coaching work. Thank you. Well, after all your sharing, and is there anything you'd like to encourage our audience to take some action related to today's sharing?
Sure. I remember one incident that I wanted to share. I thought it was interesting. So actually, I was doing a tea ceremony demonstration at the Cherry Blossom Festival in Japantown in San Francisco. When I first started tea, I think it was my debut, like public debut for doing tea ceremony. And after I finished, when all the audience were just, walking outside the venue, I heard one lady mentioned to her friend, and she said, wow, it took so long to make one bowl of tea. And I was like, that's very interesting, because of course, as a tea practitioner, I never think, oh, okay, it took so long to make a bowl of tea. Yes, it does take, long time, because you have all these different things that you need to do before you make your bowl of tea. But then I was thinking, well, maybe sometimes in life, we don't actually think about what's the meaning behind something, right? It takes so long to make a bowl of tea, but that's also a time where you can actually focus. You watch the host, you watch her sanitizing utensils, cleaning everything up, putting water in the bowl, cleaning it, and then putting the tea, and then putting water and making a bowl of tea. So I think for us, like when we have such a chaotic life, a lot of times we don't take time to think about how to calm us down or how to slow down. And in tea ceremony, I think that's a way to kind of force us to slow down a little bit and just, cherish the moment, enjoy that moment. Because like when we're in our busy life, how often do we like get a moment to just sit down and just focus and drink and enjoy a bowl of tea, right? So even though, not everyone is a tea practitioner, but I think that in daily life, try to slow down a little bit, just enjoy your surrounding, feel your surrounding, be more aware of your surrounding. And of course, just like what we have discussed earlier, cherish every moment, right?
Wonderful. Very important word is slow down. I think this is already very, very good. Slow down and cherish every moment. Thank you so much. Now, Julia, my channel is about power of gratitude. Who do you like to thank or show gratitude? Take it away.
Well, of course. Thank you so much for inviting me to your transformation series again today. It's a wonderful experience for me. Thank you for letting me share my tea journey in a way, and how that affected my life. So that's very wonderful. So thank you very much. And then, of course, people who I need to thank, of course, my parents. I mean, they have been very supportive in what I've been doing. And when I have like tea ceremony performances before, they will come and cheer me on, in the audience. So I'm very grateful. And of course, my tea teachers as well, because without them, I cannot be who I am as a tea practitioner today. So we learn a lot from them. And so these are people I want to say thank you. But of course, I want to say thank you to everyone that I know, all my family, friends, everyone that's been showing, such tremendous love to me and care and support.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, this is a very unique sharing. I mean, with the special interest and then come to how it can associate to our well-being. And this channel is always promoting well-being and also how our personal growth, how we can be a better version of ourselves. So thank you so much. I'm sure our audience will feel and also inspire by the joy, by the passion you have gained from this tea ceremony practice. For me, I have learned a lot, a few different terms as well, like sado. Sado is
it's the way of tea. So tea ceremony is like the English version. So there are like different ways, like in Japanese, to say tea ceremony, like sado, chanoyu, like different terms.
Yeah. Sado is very similar to Cantonese as well, right? Sado. Yeah, yes. Great. And all these kind of phrases which help us to be present and also cherish every moment. Oh, this is great learning from you, and thank you very much for your time. Okay, so audience, if you like this channel and also today's video, please give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe. Thank you, Julia. Have a very good
so much.
And bye-bye. Bye-bye.